Hello and welcome back to my channel where I like to have fun with all things beauty while being critical about what I accept into my collection. Today I am doing a NOMAD palette review. So this is the latest release from NOMAD. It's the Route 66 palette that just came out a few weeks ago. And I would categorize this as one of their more neutral palettes, but it's still fun because there are clearly still a number of pops of color in this. I'm happy to say that at this point with NOMAD, I feel like it all comes down to the color story and what color story speaks to you, because I feel like the formula now is very consistent. It used to be a little bit hit or miss back in the day, but it's really not like that anymore. Occasionally, I will have some issues with texture, like they have two shimmer formulas. So the shade Comet, for example, which is the gold, has the thicker formula, and the coral shimmer is the much thinner formula, and they are very different. Here you can see they both swatch fine and they both perform fine. I've used both of these shades on the eye. On occasion, this thicker formula for their shimmers can get a little bit gummy. It's almost too emollient, almost like a putty. And on occasion, I've had issues with those adhering to the eyes or staying good over time. My biggest example of that is the Ghost Town palette. Some of those shimmers got ruined because they became so emollient after a few months. They felt wet to the touch and they really didn't adhere to the skin very well. They do still swatch fine and I can absolutely still use this palette, but it creases very, very easily, so I just don't reach for it that much because of that. To refresh my thoughts on this, I actually pulled this palette out today and I went ahead and used it, and it reminded me that these issues are nothing like the issues that I had with the much older NOMAD palettes. Some of those had shades that were so hard pressed you couldn't even get them out. So I think they overcorrected in the other direction, but since Ghost Town, I haven't had any issues. And even this palette, it really still does perform okay as long as you use a finger. I wasn't able to really pick these shadows up with a brush very well at all. So if you keep that in mind, you can still totally use it. The problem that you might run into is longevity, and it's just creasing. The creasing happens relatively quickly. This is after about 5 or 6 hours. That was the longest that I could keep this on my eyes today, unfortunately. It doesn't look the best, but it's not the end of the world. And I don't know, I haven't heard that many people complain about it, so maybe it has something to do with the Florida humidity. Also, once I open my eyes, as you can see here, you kind of don't even notice. So it's more just a preference thing. It's not my preference when they lean that gummy, but none of my newer NOMAD palettes get quite as emollient as this one did. None of the shimmers in this palette seem to have that. The closest would be this gold, the Comet 2, but even that one seems fine, and the trade-off to shades like that is they adhere well to the lids. There's not a lot of fallout. You don't really need a glitter glue or anything for them to stick, and they're high impact, so they're usually very pretty. On the flip side is their other shimmer formula, which in this palette we only have one of. So Monger Moss is super neon coral here. That is a very thin formula. And sometimes the issue I've had with that is that they're a little bit harder pressed, so sometimes they're not as impactful. Sometimes it doesn't affect the performance at all, but in this palette that shimmer is a little bit more dull, but it's not a problem in any way. It performs absolutely fine. The mattes are a little bit on the dusty side. I know people complained about that with the Fairy Tale Europe palette. I heard chalky is how that was described a lot, or that it blended away, and I feel like this is not quite as bad. There is a lot of kick up, don't get me wrong, but I do think that these deposit pigment better than the mattes in that palette. So this is, as far as I know, their standard matte formula, which I like a lot. I've never really had an issue with their mattes. When it comes to performance, everything performs fine. At this point, I have used every single shade several times and I don't have any issues with any of them. Even when I build up shimmers like this, if there is creasing, you can't see it when my eyes are open. At the end of the day, it does start to become more noticeable. This is probably after around 8 hours. But again, I mean, it's mostly when I blink. It's not so noticeable when my eyes are open. So for me, it's not really a deal breaker. I'm not usually wearing looks like this for 12 hours at a time, you know? So it depends. And I will say with the more neutral shades,
it's not noticeable at all. It's only noticeable when there are multiple colors because they separate a little bit more. This is my more hooded eye, and this is using no primer at all. So I would say in the scheme of things, this really isn't bad. Not for colors like this. It's not bad at all at the end of a long day.
Formula aside, I'm now going to cut away and show swatches. Now I'm going to show the 5 eye looks that I've done so far using this palette. So I hope that was helpful. Today for my eye look, I wanted to see how neutral I could go with this palette, so I kept it only with the browns and I only used one shimmer. So I used the Gateway Arch all over my lid, and as you can see, that's a really unique champagne-y shimmer. Now, I am an absolute sucker when it comes to champagne shimmers. I have a lot, so for any of them to stand out in my collection is saying something. This actually reminded me of Pat McGrath Mothership 1. There's a really beautiful pale gold in that palette, and initially I thought of that, but actually on the skin it is a little bit different because there's not a lot of base pigment. So I'll try to do a close-up. Anyway, if that didn't work, I will insert a clip that shows the effect a little bit better, but it has a clear base so that the shimmer is suspended. It almost blends into your skin. Similarly to how I described the Danessa Myricks Pastel Dream Champagne Shimmer, that is a lot more beige in tone. This is a lot more gold, but that really achieves the wet look shimmer that I love so much. Like, it almost seems like the sparkle is coming from within your skin. Like there's nothing on your eyelid at all, in a sheer layer, obviously built up, especially built up as much as I have on today. It looks a lot more opaque, and from straight on especially, it looks like a traditional shimmer. It's only if you tilt your head in the light that you can see the base pigment disappear a little bit, and then you can see some of the white to gold shift that it has going on. So for me personally, I'm a sucker for that effect, so I'm thrilled to have this palette just for that shade. But that said, I still really liked all of the other looks that I've done so far using this. I'm gonna be very honest with you. When they first revealed this palette, I really was not interested because I have too many, well, I have too many eyeshadows, period. But frankly, I have too many Nomad palettes that I feel like cover every single color here. This group here was the only shades that even stood out a little bit, and even those are pretty dupable if I'm honest. I'm from New Jersey, I live in Florida, so Route 66 didn't really mean anything to me, so there wasn't a lot pulling me in. However, when I saw, I believe it was Linda from Glitter Fallout, use this green over here, Scenic Byway, I was like, I need to have that shade in my life. Is it a tone that's particularly flattering on me? Not really, if I'm honest, but I just couldn't stop thinking about it, and over time I wore down, and not a lot of other palettes were coming out at the same time, so honestly I just went for it. I didn't really think about it much beyond that. I knew I was duping myself, but I was okay with that. And some palettes are a lot riskier than others. I felt like I knew for a fact I was gonna get good use from this. Is this going to be my new favorite Nomad palette of all time? I don't know. However, what I can tell you from using it so far is that I definitely like it a lot more than I expected to. And if I were to do a ranking right now today, this would be near the top, which is more than I could say about the last few Nomad palettes that came out, which I liked, but ended up actually not using them as much as I thought I would. So I don't know, time will tell. It's early days, and I am going to do a new Nomad ranking soon where I'll have a lot more complete thoughts about this. Nomad is never going to be at the top of my list when it comes to formula. I think their formula is solid, but it doesn't do anything that takes it out of the just solidly good category. The one exception was the New Zealand palette. I thought there was some shimmer formulas in there that really did stand out, duochromes and multichromes, whereas their standard shimmer, as much as I can say it's a solid A, it's not an A+. And that's kind of how I feel about this palette. I'm definitely happy I picked it up. I'm gonna have fun with it. I love Nomad's color stories for making me think outside the box and be creative. I'm thrilled that every shade is usable because that wasn't always the case. And I love the variety at a good price point. However, I'm never gonna sit here and say that you need a Nomad palette. If you have a similar color story from many other brands in singles or in other palettes or whatever, there's a good chance it'll be better than the palette itself. And if you have a big collection, you will never need any of their palettes. I really only recommend these to people if it definitely wouldn't hurt financially, and you know, if you're stuck in a little bit of a creative rut, palettes like this can help. That's how I feel like they're most useful in my own personal collection. I don't need to brainstorm. I can pick up any of my Nomad palettes and come up with something fun and interesting on the fly, and it always works out. So I mean, no makeup is ever must have. It's makeup. None of us need it. But I still prioritize brands in terms of who has a formula that makes me drop everything for. Nomad will never be that, but if there's nothing else going on, I'm probably not going to be upset, and this palette is no different. I do feel like we've gotten more from them recently than we used to. I feel like they used to come out with like 4 palettes a year. Every season there would be something new, and now it feels more frequent, and I don't like that. I really don't. I really wish that we would get more time in between releases. I would get a lot more excited for them, and I'm a little bit sour on the brand because of that, if I'm being honest. But I also noticed that online. Like typically when they release a palette, your YouTube feed is nothing but Nomad reviews because they give out so much PR and everyone seems to put their review up on the same day. While I do think some creators have started staggering when they put their review up, I've just seen a lot less reviews, period. So I do think maybe some of the enthusiasm is waning a little bit, and it could be for a similar reason. It could be because other people feel like we're getting too many releases as well. But I don't know. Maybe it's because the market is also very saturated right now in general. Let me know what you think. Are you less excited about Nomad? Are you one of the people that really gets annoyed when there's so many reviews at once? That's not something that ever bothered me, but the number of palettes increasing definitely does, and I get less excited because of that also. And I'm gonna keep playing with this. I'll put looks up on Instagram in the meantime, and in a few months I'll do a roundup and let everybody know if this was a good investment long term. Really quick, I'll talk about what else is on my face Macy's today, so I just went with tried and true. My NARS Light Reflecting Foundation, my Sarah Creel Concealer, Westman Atelier Contour, Gucci Bronzer, a little bit of Charlotte Tilbury to bridge the gap, and then my blush today is Crystal Slipper from RMS Beauty. Mine is disgusting. I really love this shade. It's probably my favorite shade. It's almost invisible. I mean, don't get me wrong. You need to be very pale for this shade, but it's super neutral and it's glowy without being texture enhancing. It's blurring even. And I rarely say that because I don't think anything is actually blurring. But I just love this blush, and it was recently in the Macy's 50% off. They're doing the 10 days of glam. I'm hoping that I can post this before that is totally over. They don't get the most exciting things, but they have some winners, and this was 50% off today. It's one day only, gonna be long gone by the time I post this, but I am mentioning it because it's not the first time it's been in that Macy's sale. It has been on sale at Macy's, and it's been on sale on their own website for a good deal off. I even once saw a sale where they were selling these for $5 a piece. Had I known what the formula was like, I would have bought all of them at $5 a pop. I didn't even understand what was happening. That was like a weird Instagram thing. I saw the sale and I jumped on it. I don't know if it was part of a promotion or what was going on, but because it's on sale so often, I've been able to get all 10 at this point. I don't have all 10 in my hands right now, but I will by the time you see this video. So all to say, these go on sale a lot. So because of that, I am mentioning it, and I will be at some point doing a swatch video and a cheek swatch video so that I can refer to that in the future when these go on sale again. The other thing I have on that I thought I would mention, it's on top of lipstick, so you can't really see it at all right now. It just looks like a clear gloss. But I finally picked up the Isamaya Lip Lac. This has been 50% off for a few weeks now, so I don't know how much longer it will be available at that price.
Cutting in to say, even though the sale at 50% off, selling off the older packaging might be either over or almost over or sold out, they are running this sale right now, which is 30% off these 3 items. So it's not everything, but it's the lip gloss, the lip liner, and like a face glaze type thing. I looked through it and I was really only interested in the glosses, but I noticed from the Beauty Steal on Instagram that you can actually add a code and get another 30% off, making them around $18, so like 50% off again. And the last time I checked, it had all of the shades in stock in the newer packaging. So I would say if you're interested in any of these items, it's a pretty good deal. I picked up 1 additional shade in metal, so now I have 3, and at some point I will be doing a more in-depth review of the formula. I apologize that I don't have any more information about how long this may be going on for, but it is around Memorial Day, so there will be sales basically everywhere you look. It can be a little bit overwhelming. That's why I really appreciate pages like this who sort of sort through everything for me, and I can just keep updated by looking at their stories.
It's on the website only, and you have to use the code THEARCHIVE, which I'll pop up on the screen. It's for just about all of the lip products, and I think the liquid shimmer goo or whatever, it's for a bunch of different things, but I wasn't really interested in any of it except for the lip gloss. I like this formula. This thing is weird because it makes it so top heavy. It wouldn't be an issue if this was glass. If they just made the component glass, it would be balanced and it wouldn't be weird. I know that this comes off, so I don't know, maybe I'll take it off. I'll see how much it actually bothers me. But it's pretty. It's not as duochrome iridescent as any of the Pat McGrath lip glosses, for example, but the formula is nice. It's not sticky, it's tenacious, it lasts, it feels hydrating, and it gives a pretty look. This doesn't have a shade name on it anywhere. I believe it's Lotus. It's the white one. There's not that many shades. So I got this, and I just ordered Beetle, which is the black, just because it looked kind of cool. I don't know. I think if you see this video and these are sold out and you can't get them, you're not missing anything. There's plenty of other good lip glosses. Definitely do not need this one, but if you are looking, I don't think you you'd be disappointed. I also know that they call themselves plumping. You don't feel the plumping. You don't feel anything at all when they're on the lips. I do think it enhanced the color of my lips a little bit. I felt like it looked a bit more red, sort of the rashy red color that happens when I am wearing an uncomfortable plumper. I'm looking at you, Dr. Dennis Gross, but I mean, it's not that intense, and it doesn't, like, the border of your lip isn't affected. It doesn't bleed outside the border and make you look like you're having an outbreak of some kind. It's very subtle. So no downside to this really, other than that the packaging definitely is not worth $40. So I think $19 is the only price you should pay. And that's going to be it for me today. I am hoping to get the Singe Beauty palette in my hands soon, and I will be doing a review of that coming up along with my Sephora sale review. So that's it for today. I hope you're having a beautiful day or night wherever you are. I hope you're taking care of yourself. I love you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.